Hello world, you are watching Archie Television and I am your host, Lawrence Archie. Welcome returning viewers, welcome new viewers. You are watching the first installment to a 4-part tutorial series where we will be modeling, we will texture, and we will rig. It's clear to see that we're looking at a blank document. Yes, we are looking at a blank Blender document. At this point, I felt it vital that you guys know how to import multiple Blender files into one Blender file. So without further ado, I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna begin to model our teeth. I want to come in here. I want to open up our modifiers tab, and I want to add a mirror modifier. Come in here, tab and edit mode. Let's move our mirror modifier into place. That's at the, we can add a subsurface later, but yeah, we can add a subsurface later. At this point, let's hit A to select all, let's shift D to duplicate. Let's 1 on the numpad. We're going to our frontward facing camera view. Let's hit S, then X, so we can scale on the X axis. Let's hit 3 on the numpad. Let's hit S, then Y, so we can scale on the Y axis. And let's come back in the frontward facing view. Let's select all. Let's move it in just a little bit. Let's hit clipping. And let's move it in a little bit so that those vertices will be clipping at the edge, like so. So let's come in here. Let's add an array modifier. Let's bump our array modifier above our mirror modifier. Let's bump that count up to say 6. Down here on our mirror modifier, let's hit Z. Not only do we want our array to be duplicated on our x-axis, we also want it to be duplicated on the z-axis. So let's hit A to select all. Let's undo clipping. So, and come back in here. Let's pull up. We can redo clipping at this point because they're not connected anymore. And at this point, what we will want to do is tab into object mode. Let's shift A. So we can add a curve. Let's add a Bezier curve. Let's hit 7 on our numpad key. Let's scale up. Actually, let's undo that. Let's hit Shift S so we can get our cursor to center. Let's Shift A. Let's add a Bezier. Tab into edit mode. Let's hit Shift A once more. Shift S, excuse me, and then selection to cursor. So at this point, let's grab this guy and let's try and make this as even as possible. Let's maximize our 3D view by hitting shift space. Let's come in here. Let's turn on our screencast keys. Hit N. Display our screencast keys. Let's come in. Let's try and make this as even as possible. Let's come in here, select all. Let's bring this over. Let's start to curve our teeth. Bring this up. Curve our teeth some more. Select all these vertices. Bring this over. We just want to round out our mouth. At this point, we want to come in here and we want to tab back in object mode so we can select our teeth. We want to shrink our 3D view by hitting shift space so we can come over to our modifiers tab. We want to add a curve. And we want to add our Bezier curve. And we want to bump our Bezier curve all the way to the top. Before we hit our Bezier curve all the way up to the top, let's apply our array. Now let's add our curve. Let's bump it up to the top. At this point, we can add our subdivision or not. Let's come in here and let's select our gums. Let's control tab, go in our face mode. So we can select all of these teeth. Let's hit P to send. Let's undo that. Undo that. Let's hit X. Get rid of those vertices. Let's add that subsurf. Let's select our teeth. Add a subsurf. And we're just gonna have to come in here manually on every last one of them and move these seams around to our liking. Just hit Control R multiple times. You just gotta find that groove. And on our teeth, we want our teeth to be shaped a little bit different. So we just want to add one edge loop to our teeth and drag it near to the top so it'll round out at the bottom to give it that tune looking shape. And there you have it. Our teeth. At this point, we want to open up our other Blender file. The name of my Blender file is Tiny Oblong. This guy looks familiar, doesn't he? So we want to hit Shift F1. You want to, before we do that, we want to name our document, our other document. Let's Shift S, Control S, excuse me. Let's name it Tiny Teeth. I think that's fitting. Let's save that Blender file. Let's open up Tiny himself. Shift F1. Let's find Tiny's teeth. Open up the objects. We need the Bezier curve. We don't need the camera. We need the cube 001 and the cube We don't need the lamp, we don't need the camera. We just want a link from library, and there you have it. With all that selected, we want to, not everything, just the mouth and the Bezier curve. We want on our next tutorial, we'll worry about scaling the proportions of the mouth to get the teeth to fit inside of Tiny's mouth. So without further ado, I'm gonna have to end this tutorial. Remember, if you're gonna dream, dream big. Good night, folks.